before you this morning. Thank God for my wife, amen, and my daughter, amen. Here's a word from the Lord. The word will be found in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 12. I'll be reading to you verses 28 to 31. When you have it, say amen. One of the teachers of the law came and heard them debating. Noticing that Jesus had given them a good answer, he asked them, of all the commandments, which is the most important? The most important one, answered Jesus, is this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is this: love your neighbor. There's no commandment greater than these. Amen. The word of the Lord for the people. Amen. See. In Jesus' name. Our subject this morning is living life in God's love. Living life in God's love. Just for a moment, look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, you look like you need the love of the Lord. Amen. You can do better than look at your other neighbor. Say, neighbor, you look like you need the love of the Lord. Amen. Let's give the Lord a hand clap of praise. We find in Revelation 1:5, it says, unto him that loved us and washed us from our sins in his own blood. When I think about this scripture, it amazes me because I realized that I didn't have much to give the Lord. I realized that I didn't have much to offer him. And most people, when we think about love, and when we talk about love, there's always some conditions. I love you because of. I love you because of this. I love you because of that. We find that this day and time, if you tell somebody you love them, they will go on to ask you the question, how much do you love me? Or what is it that you love about me? It's always because of. I love you because you look good. I love you because you have a beautiful smile. I love you because you talk good. I love you because you walk good. I love you because the way you treat me. And if we be honest this morning, some of us love people simply because of what they can do for us. I love you because you can pay the bills. I love you because you're a good provider. I love you because of this. And I love you because of that. But when we think about God's love is totally different from the love we have. We find that God has an agape love. His love is not conditional. It's not a because of love. Because if we keep it real this morning, we didn't have anything off of God. But God still loved us. We find that when we look at the love of God and we think about all that God has done for us, it would have been better for God to just leave us right where we were. But we find that God loved us in spite of our sin, in spite of our circumstances. I was a wretched undone. I was filthy. I was neither ready, fit to live, nor was I ready to die. But we find in Romans, Paul says, yet while we were sinners, Christ died for us. That meant that God loved me in my mess. He loved me when I was at my worst. He loved me when I didn't have anything to offer him. Yet God loved me. I just believe this morning that God loved me because he saw and he knew that he could take nothing and turn it into something. First of all, the text tells us to love God. We find it says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. My question this morning is, do you really love him this morning? Do you really love the Lord with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength? My question this morning, if you truly love him, how often do you sing to the Lord? How often do you talk to God? How often do you take time to get to know him in his word? How often do you spend quiet time with the Lord and just meditating on his goodness and how good God has been to you? How often do you serve the Lord? I'm here to tell you this morning, if you really love the Lord, you ought to be doing something. I'm reminded that love is an action word. That means if I love you, I ought to be showing you just how much I love you. You see, the reality is anybody can love the Lord, say they love the Lord when everything is going good in your life. Amen. Anybody can love the Lord when the sun is shining. Anybody can love the Lord when your bills are being paid and your lights are still on. But my question is, can you say, Lord, I love you no matter what's going on in my life, no matter what circumstances, no matter how hard the rain may fall, no matter how hard the thunder may roar in my life, Lord, I love you. Yes. Can you say, Lord, I love you when the lights are turned off? Can you say, Lord, I love you when the doctor walks in the hospital room and say that you have been diagnosed with cancer? Can you say, I love you, Lord, in spite of losing a loved one? Can you say, Lord, I love you no matter where I am in my life? That's my question for you this morning. Can you say, I love you, Lord? I like what John says. He asked the question, how can you say you love God whom you never seen and hate your brother you see every day? You know, the reality is we see people each and every day and yet we don't speak to them. We have folks right in our own family and our immediate family that we don't speak to, we don't associate with. And yet it's still, we each and every day we disown them and disclaim them. But I'm reminded of that God never disclaimed or disowned us. Yet and still, he calls us his children. Yes, sir. And yet and still, he calls us friends. Yes. Whatever, I like what Jesus, he said in Matthew, he said, I was hungry and you gave me nothing to eat. He said, I was thirsty and you gave me nothing to drink. He said, I was naked and yet you didn't give me any clothes. He said, I was in prison and I was sick and yet you didn't come to see about me. He said, and they asked the question, they said, Lord, well, when did we do these things? Jesus replied, he said, what you have not done for the least of these, you have also not done to me. But he also goes on to say, but yet and still what you have done for the least of these, you have also done to me. Yeah. I'm here to tell you, when you love on your brother and your sister, you are loving on God this morning. Jesus also said, he said, if you love me, then keep my commandments. The disciples was having a discussion among themselves, the Pharisees, and they said, Lord, we have over 613 laws. How do we keep all these laws? How do we abide by your commandments? Jesus came, he said, then they asked the question, Lord, which one of these, what is the greatest commandment? He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. And love your neighbor as yourself. He said, if you can keep these commandments, then you have kept all the rest of the commandments. All right, so we got to learn to love the Lord. Secondly, not only should we love God, but we should also love our neighbor. I like what John 13:34 says. It says, a new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another as I have loved you, that you also have love for one another. By this all men shall know that you are my disciples, if you have love one for the other. I'm reminded, when I was coming up in school, there was always conversations going on about gang activity. They would always talk about the gangster disciples and the vice lords. And I'm reminded, Jesus said in the text, he said, by this all men should know that you are my disciples. And see, the gangster disciple, a gangster disciple means that they were to abide by the law and the code of the gangster disciple. But I'm here to tell you this morning, if you are a disciple of Jesus Christ, that means you ought to abide by the laws of God this morning. I'm here to tell you this morning, to be a disciple of Jesus Christ, that means that you are a learner and a follower of Jesus. I'm here to tell you this morning, my brothers and my sisters, that we're going to, he says, by this all men shall know that you are my disciple. That means that when you are a disciple of Jesus, you are not known by the hatred and the evil and the drug activity or the gang violence. But when you are a disciple of Jesus Christ, you are known by your love. We are. I think the reality is that we don't want to be a disciple of Jesus Christ, because being a disciple of Jesus Christ costs us something. Jesus said in the text, if you want to be my disciple, he said, take up your cross and follow me. I just wonder this morning, how many are willing to take up your cross, deny yourself, and follow Jesus? We ought to take up our cross and follow him. Paul also said in Ephesians, he said, if you're in your anger and sin not, let not the sun go down on your wrath. In other words, he was saying this morning, if you are upset with someone, don't settle it before the sun goes down. Don't walk around carrying a grudge each and every day. And the reality is, the people that you're mad at don't even know you're mad at them. And if they knew that you was upset with them, they could care less. The reality is they could care less. You can't sleep at night, you tossing and turning because you're angry, and they're going to bed peacefully. I'm here to tell you this morning, don't walk around holding a grudge. Jesus even said that, he said in his word, he said that if you're in your giving, when you bring your gift to the altar, he said, first of all, go be reconciled with your brother and your sister, and then come and present your gift to the Lord. My brothers and sisters, I'm here to tell you this morning that Jesus won't even accept your offering if you're holding anger in your heart. Jesus wants us to get into the business of loving our neighbor. Paul also says, be ye kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, have forgiven you. I'm here to tell you, brothers and sisters, when we find in our communities, in our society today, we have a love problem. We continually seeing murder and suicide and homicide taking place in our communities. And we got to begin to start loving God and loving our neighbor. And finally, he says, love your neighbor as yourself. There's no commandment greater than these. Jesus isn't talking about loving oneself as in a narcissist. He's not talking about loving oneself being self-absorbed or being self-egocentric. But he's talking about loving oneself as a self-awareness. Because God expects us to deny ourselves. He expects us to dedicate ourselves. He expects us to discipline ourselves. He expects us to develop ourselves. And he also expects us to die to ourselves. Sometimes in order to love your brother and your sister, you have to deny yourself. As I come to my close, I'm reminded of a husband and wife. They got into a serious argument. And the wife suggested that instead of arguing and fussing and fighting, that they will write their complaints down on a sheet of paper and then show each other how they felt. Well, the husband agreed to the plan, and he got the paper, and the wife went ahead and got the pencils, and they began to write down just how they felt about one another. And the husband began writing down how he felt, and every now and then he would take a pause and look at his wife, and then write some more. And then the wife would take a pause and she would look at her husband and then write some more. And we find that they continued to write, and finally the husband began to get angry. And he just began to just pause and look at his wife again and write some more. And finally the wife got angry to the point she just put her pencil down. And the husband just kept on writing. The wife had begun to fill up one whole side of her paper. But she noticed that the husband had not only completed the front side of his paper, but he had turned his paper over. And now he began to write on the back side of his paper. And he just continued, just kept on writing. And he was yet and still, he would pause and look at his wife again and began to write some more. Finally, the wife got so upset, tears started falling down her face. And she began to clench her fist in anger. And she just, but yet and still, the husband just kept on writing. And he just kept on writing until he filled up the back side of his paper. And finally he said that, you know what, I'm finished. and they decided to exchange papers. And when they exchanged papers, the wife felt bad because when she looked at her paper and her husband's paper, in spite of all his anger and how he felt at the time, she saw that he had wrote, "I love you" on every line. And he said, "I love you, I love you, I love you." He said, "I'm angry right now, but I love you. I really don't want to be here right now, but yet and still, I love you. I really don't even like you right now, but I love you." I'm reminded of Jesus. That's what Jesus did for us this morning. I'm reminded in my own life, sometimes I make Jesus angry. Sometimes I even upset him. But yet and still, God's love me. I don't dot every I all the time, and I don't cross every T. But yet and still, God's love me. Every now and then I step out of line, but God says, "You know what? You're my child, and I still love you." He said, and I'm reminded for John 3:16, he said, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believe in him shall not perish but have eternal life." The doors of the church is open. You can come by letter, Christian experience, or a candidate for baptism. What are you willing to offer God this morning? Are you willing to give him your all? Are you willing to give him your life? Are you willing to commit to him? How many know that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us?